Hello and welcome back to the Success Mindset YouTube channel. My name's Damien and I'm delighted to be joined again by my good friend Stephen Light. Welcome, Stephen.
Hi, Damien.
Now, Stephen is a global leadership expert and coach, and he works with various companies throughout the world to help them achieve their aims. And I'm delighted to have Stephen back again to today talk to us about how to empower ourselves and others to take on challenges in a more effective and positive way. So Stephen, when we're talking about either leadership in business or people in general, how, in your view, do people approach challenges generally?
So as individuals, whether it's, as you say, in your own personal life or whether it's in a leadership role, in my experience, people have to know the answer. Like leaders, I'm the one who has to know the answer. People are going to judge me if I don't know the answer. And so that creates a whole lot of stress on themselves. And what that actually does is creates a threat state within them. That threat state produces chemicals in the brain. And what that does is it shuts off the creative part, which is what you need to overcome some of these challenges. So yeah, in my experience, what do people, how do they approach challenges and problems is, I have to have the answer, I have to have the answer. And it just creates unnecessary stress and shuts them down.
Absolutely. And in terms of turning that around then, why is it important to empower others as part of challenges? So if we're in business, for example, with a team, or even if it's a challenge in our own lives that we might need some support with, why is it so important to empower others as part of our overcoming of challenges?
The first thing, as you said, that came to me was, we are not alone. We tend to think, I have to sort this out. And whether it's in your family, whether it's at work, there are people around you who can help you. So reaching out, asking for help, maybe doing a brainstorming session, sharing where you're at, thinking about how do I overcome this, asking people for advice, recommendations, getting really clear on what is the end goal I'm working towards. If you know what that end goal is, and I'm sitting here, the problem and the challenge lies in the middle. And now, like, I have this mindset whenever I face problems and challenges, and it's called the mindset of an ant. And, no matter what barrier you put in place, the ant will find a creative way of getting around it, over it, under it, through it. And so, that takes a lot of self-belief, because I just know where I'm going. So if you get clear about the end in mind and you realize I'm not alone, I can ask people to help me and we can find different solutions. That for me is going to help you get to that end point and solve that challenge and problem.
And when you do empower people, let's say, for example, it's within a business and you've got a team and you're facing some challenges. And certainly at the moment we're talking during the COVID period, and I think that there's millions and millions of people across the world that are facing all kinds of challenges personally and in business. People have all had to adapt in various businesses. When you're looking at facing challenge, how important is it to allow people to fail? And what I mean by that, Stephen, is, a lot of the time people are scared to fail. And actually, I believe that failure is how we grow. So how important is it to empower people to fail and actually promote them to fail as part of that process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not something that's really popular with people. It's the whole failure. So there's two really big areas you've raised there. So let's talk about the failures, the first area. We have grown up and been conditioned to, in school, put our hands up, get the answer right. Because then, I got the answer right. We have to have the answer. Failure is not an option. We write tests. We have to pass. So failure has been ingrained in us as something that is wrong. And yet failure is one of the biggest learning opportunities. And that is a mindset shift. So we have to, as ourselves and as leaders, maybe in business, is give people the opportunity to learn from their failures, not repeat mistakes, but to make mistakes, fail, and then challenge them about what did you learn and how will you use that to be different next time. So that's really important. because failure, I think, has got a bad rap. And I know some of the most successful people I work with have failed many, many times, but every time it's an incremental learning for them. The other thing you spoke about is like, how do you empower people? And I think as leaders, what they tend to do is they try to control situations. And here's been my experience in this lockdown period, and working with some leaders, is that the moment you went into lockdown, it's this whole thing about control and micromanagement has come out. And so whenever issues raised or challenges are surfaced, what they are trying to do is control every step that their people are taking. And what that does is it creates huge disempowerment. And what we've got to be conscious of as leaders is that we need to trust our people. So we know what we've got to solve. Give them the chance. Let them take a chance at trying to solve it. If they fail, let them learn. But the more you try and control and micromanage, the more you disempower people. And that's not going to create any kind of engagement or empowerment with the people that you have working for you.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about the impact that empowering people in that way can have, what impact, with the people you've worked with, for example, when leaders have empowered people better, what impact can that have?
One of the biggest things I hear from leaders that I work with, and even individuals, is that I'm so busy. It's this glorification of busy. I've got so much going on, so much. And it's almost like they enjoy that, but they don't. So it's quite a contradiction. And when you really peel below the surface and you peel that onion back and you find out, why are you so busy? Actually, they have the inability to let go. And so why is it so important to empower people? Because if you challenge people to find their own solutions and you ask a lot of questions and you listen and challenge, what happens is people have to think for themselves. And if they think, they come up with possible solutions. And if they take a solution and it works, how do they feel? Wow, they feel empowered. So over time, if that's your approach and you keep challenging people to find their own solutions versus giving them the answer, that frees you up from constantly being engaged, because people feel more empowered. They come up with their own ideas. And now, instead of coming and knocking on your door to find out a solution from you, because you're the one who has the answers, they now come and just say, hey, Damien, we had this issue. This is what I've done. It solved it. Just want to keep you up to speed. And so you start having a lot more time to focus on vision, on strategy, on the important things, and how to lead and empower people versus dealing with the day-to-day stuff.
Absolutely. And then I guess, so that's how you do it with other people. What about if you're someone who has that fixed mindset? And I know that me and you, we've talked a lot about fixed mindsets before, and someone themselves has got it in their head, either in business or in personal life or both, where they're afraid to take a chance in case they fail. They've had it so ingrained, so conditioned in their heads that they can't fail, or they just can't bring themselves to try it. What ways can people desensitize themselves, I guess, for a better word, to start taking those opportunities to fail and grow and learn? How would you coach them?
Yeah, it's a big one, because failure goes to the core of, like, we put our identity in there. So if people perceive themselves as a failure, it's not that what I did was a failure. I'm a failure, and we need to separate those two out. So there's some inner work around understanding that your worth, your value, who you are, and what you contribute to the world is your birthright. It's got nothing to do with what you do out there. That you can own, and it's independent of the results you get. Then once you do this personal work, what you can also do concurrently, it's understanding what are the small things that I'm willing to fail in, that I can learn from, that aren't going to have a huge impact on my confidence, my worth, who I am. Because it's a really big thing to stretch these two apart. And once you can create that distinction for yourself, it's free, it's freedom. And so it's small things like what I've been learning to do is maybe try learn a new language, or playing a guitar. And you watch a YouTube video and you try and you get it wrong, but you know what, it's a small failure, but what you're conditioning your brain to understanding is that failure is actually an opportunity to learn. So that when you face those bigger challenges, actually you've really got this muscle around how to fail and what it means for you, and you've shifted your mindset. So that would be my recommendation.
You're preaching to the converted, Stephen. I love it. I love it. Thank you very much, my friend, for doing this session with us today. I know the viewers appreciate it. So thank you to Stephen. Thank you to you all for watching. And as I always finish off these videos, make your life a masterpiece, my friends. The power's in your hand. Go out there and execute. Do what you need to do, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, David.